my best friend confessed that he had feelings for me. I rejected him because I was already in love with someone else. In response, he became hostile, speaking ill of both me and the boy I liked. Unable to bear the criticism, the boy I liked left me. Since childhood, Jake and I had been inseparable. We met in elementary school, united by our shared dislike of the mystery meat in the cafeteria. From there, a friendship blossomed that seemed unbreakable. We shared secrets, homework answers, and countless inside jokes. As we entered high school, our worlds expanded, but our bond remained strong, or so I thought. Jake was the kind of friend everyone wished they had. He was reliable, funny, and always there when you needed him. So, when he asked me to meet him at our favorite local cafe one cold October evening, I did not think much of it. It was our usual spot to celebrate good grades, mend broken hearts, and plan future adventures. That night, I thought he wanted to talk about his latest video game obsession or maybe vent about his parents, who were pressuring him once again about college applications. But when I sat across from him in the booth, something felt off. Jake was nervous, fiddling with the napkin dispenser, avoiding eye contact. I teased him, asking if he had finally decided to declare his undying love for Mrs. Peterson, our eccentric but beloved French teacher. He gave a half-hearted laugh but quickly became serious again. The usual light-hearted conversation felt heavier as we danced around familiar topics. Finally, Jake told me he had something important to say. I leaned in, expecting to hear another one of his grand plans for a summer road trip or maybe a complaint about his younger sister. However, what he said next left me speechless. Jake confessed that he had feelings for me, not just the fleeting crushes we had laughed about over the years, but real, deep feelings. He had been holding on to them for a while, he said, afraid of what admitting them might do to our friendship. I sat there, my heart racing and my mind spinning. This was Jake, my best friend since the 3rd grade. The thought of him seeing me that way had never crossed my mind. Of course, I cared about him deeply, but only as a friend. And there was another reason I could not return his feelings. I was already interested in someone else. A boy from my art class named Tyler, who was 20 years old and had an incredible talent for photography. Rejecting Jake was one of the hardest things I have ever had to do. I tried to be gentle, explaining my feelings for Tyler and how I did not want to ruin the special friendship Jake and I shared. But as the words left my mouth, I saw the hurt flash across his face, quickly masked by a forced smile and a shrug. We left the cafe that night with a promise to remain friends, but the atmosphere between us had changed. I could not shake the feeling that everything was about to change and not for the better. What I did not know was that this conversation would mark a turning point, signaling the end of our friendship as we knew it. In the days following Jake's confession and my rejection, I noticed a subtle but unmistakable shift in our relationship. At first, Jake tried to act as if nothing had changed, keeping up his usual banter and meeting me for our routine hangouts. However, the ease that once defined our friendship was replaced by an uncomfortable tension that neither of us could ignore. I threw myself into my art classes, finding solace in my sketches and in Tyler's company, whose presence became increasingly comforting. Tyler, with his quiet confidence and shared love for the arts, was a stark contrast to the complicated situation with Jake. As my feelings for Tyler grew, so did my guilt towards Jake. I felt caught between the burgeoning possibility of something new and the deterioration of something that had once been solid. Meanwhile, Jake's hurt began to manifest in ways I had not anticipated. It started with small remarks, disguised as jokes, about Tyler's age and artistic ambitions. I tried to brush them off, attributing them to Jake's struggle to adjust to our new normal, but as the weeks passed, his comments became more pointed. And I learned from mutual friends that Jake was spreading rumors about Tyler and me. He painted me as someone who had led him on only to discard him for someone else. The breaking point came when I confronted Jake about the rumors. At first, he denied everything, but when I insisted, assuring him that our friends would not lie about such things, he exploded. He accused me of being insensitive to his feelings, of not considering how hard it was for him to see me with Tyler. The conversation ended in a heated argument, with both of us saying things we could not take back. Jake stormed off, leaving me standing there alone, feeling a mix of anger, sadness, and an overwhelming sense of loss. After the argument, our group of friends became divided. Some sided with Jake, believing that I had been unfair to him, while others stood by me, upset at how he was handling his pain. The division made social gatherings awkward, and I found myself withdrawing, spending more time with Tyler and less with the group I had grown up with. Tyler, for his part, was understanding but understandably frustrated by the drama. He had not signed up for a high school feud, and the tension began to affect our budding relationship. I found myself constantly defending him, trying to dispel the lies Jake had spread, all while navigating my own tangled emotions. The tension was palpable, and I could not shake the feeling that I was to blame for the unraveling of my once unbreakable bond with Jake. As the weeks turned into months, the situation did not improve. Jake's behavior became more erratic, his hostility more pronounced. Attempts at reconciliation fell flat, with Jake shutting down every effort I made to mend our friendship. It was as if the rejection had flipped a switch in him, turning the once kind-hearted and loyal friend into someone I hardly recognized. Caught in this storm of emotions and conflict, I struggled to find my footing. My grades began to suffer, my art lost its joy, and the shadow of my fractured friendship with Jake loomed large over everything. The realization that I might never get my friend back was a bitter pill to swallow, compounded by the fear of losing Tyler too, to the chaos Jake had created. In the heart of the turmoil, a rumor that Jake had started about me being a flirt was the final straw. The phrase, so juvenile yet laden with judgment, spread through our circle with surprising speed, tainting the image I had worked so hard to maintain as someone straightforward and sincere in my dealings. Confronting Jake about this particular rumor was harder than anything I had faced before. The air between us crackled with tension as I approached him, my heart pounding in my chest, anger and hurt battling for dominance. The accusation was not just a blow to my reputation, it felt like a direct attack on my character, and from someone who had known me better than anyone else. Jake, we need to talk, I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the storm of emotions brewing inside me. He looked at me, a flicker of defiance in his eyes, quickly masked by a semblance of indifference. About what? He asked, though the guilty shift in his gaze told me he knew exactly what the issue was. About what you have been saying about me, that I am a flirt. I spat the word out like it was poison. You know that is not true. You know me. For a moment there was a flash of the old Jake, the one who would have never entertained the thought of hurting me. But it vanished as quickly as it appeared, replaced by a cold, hard mask. Maybe I thought I did, he said, bitterness lacing his voice. But I guess people change, or maybe they just reveal who they really are. The conversation spiraled from there, raised voices, words we could never take back, hurled like weapons. The pain from his rejection, the frustration with my feelings for Tyler, and the grief of watching our friendship fall apart exploded into a storm of anger and betrayal. In the end, there were no winners, just two people standing amidst the wreckage of a friendship that had once meant everything. As the days passed and the storm of rumors refused to die down, Tyler and I found ourselves increasingly caught in the eye of public scrutiny. Despite our efforts to ignore the whispers and stares, the weight of public opinion began to take its toll. Tyler, who had always moved through life with a certain ease, found himself ill-equipped to handle the constant barrage of judgment and speculation. One evening, as we sat in the dim light of my small studio, surrounded by my latest artworks, the tension that had been building between us finally reached its breaking point. Tyler's usually calm demeanor, frayed at the edges, voiced the fear and frustration that had been brewing in silence. I cannot do this anymore, he said, his voice barely above a whisper but carrying the weight of a final decision. It is not just about us anymore, it is about this circus around us. I thought I could handle it, but I cannot. I tried to reach out to him, to bridge the gap that had suddenly opened between us, but my words felt hollow even to my own ears. The rumors, Jake's campaign, had poisoned what was pure and beautiful between us, turning it into something fragile and complicated. It is not true, none of it. You know me, Tyler. You know who I am, I pleaded, desperation threading through my voice. But doubt, once planted, is hard to uproot. Tyler looked at me, and in his eyes, I saw the struggle, the desire to believe, battling the weariness of constant defense. I know, he said, and in those two words was a world of sorrow. But knowing is not enough. It is like we are fighting ghosts, your past, the rumors, the looks. I am tired, and I cannot do this anymore. He stood up, and with every step he took away from me, the future I had envisioned with him crumbled into dust. I watched him leave, a part of me screaming to run after him, to fight for us, but another part, exhausted and resigned, held me back. After Tyler's departure I felt adrift. The art that had once been my refuge now reflected the emptiness I felt inside. The canvas remained blank, mirroring the void where inspiration once flourished. I had lost Jake, my best friend, for standing by a truth, and now I had lost Tyler, the one I loved, to lies over which I had no control. The journey from that point was slow and solitary. I learned to find solace in the silence, to appreciate the solitude that allowed me to reflect and heal. My art evolved, no longer just an escape, but a way to process and express the myriad emotions this ordeal had stirred within me. As the final chapter of this turbulent period of my life came to a close, I found myself alone, grappling with a pain so profound it threatened to consume me entirely. Tyler's departure had left a void in my life that seemed insurmountable, a constant reminder of the cost of truth and the destructive power of rumors. The absence of his presence, once a source of joy and inspiration, now felt like a wound that refused to heal. The studio, once filled with laughter and the promise of shared dreams, echoed with the silence of loss. My art, a reflection of my inner turmoil, grew darker, the strokes on the canvas more frantic, as if trying to exorcise the demons of betrayal and abandonment. In the depths of my despair, I sought solace in the shared wisdom of others who had navigated the treacherous waters of heartbreak and emerged on the other side. I poured my heart out on forums, in letters to unseen friends, and in late-night conversations with anyone who would listen. The question that burned within me was simple yet profound: how do you move forward when the past clings to you like a shadow? And so, I stand at a crossroads of my own making, drowning in a pain that is both a burden and a teacher. I reach out to you, to anyone who has felt the sting of betrayal, the ache of lost love, and the weight of a world turned upside down. How did you find your way back to the surface? How did you learn to breathe again, to find joy in the sunrise, to see beauty in the broken? Finally, I want to extend my sincerest thanks to all of you who have taken the time to share your stories. Please continue to journey with us, share your experiences, and together, let us create memorable moments.